How's some energy? Did I scare anybody? This is your one moment. This time right now is the only time we're ever going to have. These two speakers that were here ahead of us, me here today, Monish, Neil, and you as a gathering, this moment is the only time we ever get this. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Folks, thank you. My name is Robb Braun. I could not be anywhere else that I would want to be. And by the way, I always say the other places I would rather be would be with my family or having something to do with baseball. Brought family here, so they're covered, right? So I get to be here with you. I'm a big baseball fan, and baseball, if you get to learn it, it explains everything in life. Everything in life. Anybody ever gotten to the plate in life? Got up to the plate? Anyone ever struck out in life? Anyone ever hit a home run in life? Baseball explains it all. We get to know each other better. I'll teach you everything about it, yes.
What's your favorite team?
I'm a diehard Padre fan, so I suffer every year. Suffer.
You're living your passion for sure.
I am, yes. How many came here to learn how to succeed in some endeavor in your life that you are currently not succeeding at? And then some people say, I'm just here to support Monish. That's okay. You think you're here just to support Monish. You're here for you. The excuse the story used was, I'll come support you, man. I'll make sure it's not empty. But you came here for a reason. Something inside you came here for you as well. Success. There was another young man, a story out there, who also said he wanted success. He wanted it so bad, he went to the success guru. Right? The guru is the one who has all answers, all wise, all knowing. And he went to the guru and says, I want success just like you. And the guru says, you want success? Meet me tomorrow morning at the beach, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Which, by the way, if anyone ever looked at my phone and saw my alarm on there, it goes off at 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. I go to the beach. I know, geez. So the next morning, 4 a.m., he is there because he's committed to success. He wants what the guru's got to offer. He wants it worse than anything because he's lived his whole life it being elusive. Now he knows he's going to get taught the way. And he shows up looking like me, dressed for success. And the guru takes one look at him because he's in his shorts. He's prepared for the beach. And he goes, this idiot, I said the beach, not the boardroom, right? But he's there anyway because he was on time. And the guru says, that's all right, come with me anyway. So they go out to the water. And he pauses for a moment going, my best shoes, my best suit. But he went, I came for success, right? So the guru says, follow me. And he goes out in the water. He goes out knee deep, thigh deep. He pauses. And the guru says, not far enough. Now the young man's starting to think, you know what? I picked the wrong guru. I want success. I already got the swimming part down. I really do. But I'm going to trust because there's something about this guy that others told me he's the one who knows. And the guru says, farther. And he goes out farther. He goes to chest. He goes to shoulders. And the guru says, not far enough. And he takes one more step right here, and the guru grabs his head and forces him under and holds him. Holds him. Is he thinking about success right now? Now, what's he thinking about? Survival, his next breath. Hey, have we ever been in that place sometimes in our life where all we're thinking about is survival, our next breath? We went into this seminar, we read a book, we did all kinds of cool things that says guarantees success, but we find ourselves in life sometimes just needing to breathe. And he holds him under, and he holds him under, and holds him under. And the young man is fighting for air, fighting for breath, fighting for survival. And just at the point when the young man's about to pass out, and by the way, have we been at times in our life when we think we're about to pass out, don't know that we can take another? You're here, though, by the way. And at that moment right there, he lets the man up, and the man gasps, and he's catching his breath. And the guru says to him, when you want success as much as you want that next breath, then you'll have success. That's how bad we got to want it to assure that we're going to get it. Success. I've said many times, I want success, I want success, I think I want success. There have been times when I'll go after, but how many of you have gone after it and fallen short? How many of you have? Just the 4 of us? Come on, folks. How many of you have gone after something and didn't get it? Yeah, we all have. Somewhere along the way, it didn't become important enough, not like that next breath, for us to keep going for it. Now, it's not reasonable, and I'm going to bring that word up again, it's not reasonable to suggest that we're always going to do everything that we have to do. They're always going to want as much as we not want that next breath. Because there's reasons why we don't succeed. There are reasons why. The things that were brought up earlier, those are great tools you've heard so far today. Which, by the way, I'm going to pause here a second and say, can we give a hand to Tiana? Can we give a hand to Robbie for what they brought here today so far? Huh? And by the way, if you all didn't know, we're not in competition. We're here to collaborate, to be able to bring for you whatever you came here for. I'm not sure what that is, but you know what it is. And also for yourselves, for being here. You've been sitting here a long time, and I noticed nobody left. I mean, that's a good thing, that you're here, that you've invested in yourself. Would there have been easier things to do today? Yeah, there would. Some people are still watching football games, right? Some people said, ooh, Sunday, I might miss a game, right? Ooh, Sunday, that's the day that I relax and take time off, right? So they used excuses and reasons why they're not here, and you did not. And not only did you show up, you're still here. So it's a big, big deal for you. Good deal. So there are reasons why we don't succeed out there. It's not that we don't intend not to. We've all heard the New Year's resolutions, and this is the year that I'm going to, fill in the blank. Lose 20 pounds, make my $100,000, succeed in business, get in good health, right? Did anyone start one of those and see it fade by February, March, April? Yep, it's what happens. It's what happens. And there's reasons why we don't follow through. We don't ever intend not to. How many of you set out to succeed and already know, I'll probably give this up in 2 or 3 weeks, but I'll just go till I give up? Anybody ever do that? Usually we don't. We actually believe in our heart that we're actually going to succeed this time. We believe that we are, and yet something gets in the way. And I have for many, many years gone after and knew that there were things I wanted to accomplish, whether it be my health, whether it be succeeding in business, finding the ideal relationship, whatever that was. And there were reasons why I didn't attract those things. And I'm going to suggest for all of us that we have ingrained in us somewhere in there that we got from our family of origin, the culture we were brought up in, our society in general. We create stories. And the stories are what I call the excuses, the reasons why, the justifications for why we don't move forward, why we don't follow through on things. And gang, I've used every one of them. Too tired, I've got too much on my plate already, don't have enough money, don't have enough spare time. I start going after something and realize that it's getting difficult, so I find other ways to distract myself and not follow through. Those are all the things that we do, that's the behaviors, but they're all driven by some kind of story. Some reason why we're not moving forward. What do you think are some of the stories we might use? What do you think think of some of the societal stories? Why we don't go after what we're going after? What do you think? No money, no time. Those are great ones. Great stories. What? I got to pay a mortgage. That's an excellent one. You bet. What else? I'm afraid, yeah. Now, most of us aren't willing to say fear, right? Guys, we don't like saying afraid. We'll use other things, right? But yeah, we are afraid. What was that over here? Procrastination. Yes. We put it off. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll start next month, next year. Right? You're shaking your head. Doesn't work, does it? Oh, man. Because there's always another tomorrow. There's always another week. Always. And those things kill our forward movement. They just do. We don't intend for it to do. Because how many know that you've actually gotten close to success, you can almost taste it, and yet not be able to get it? Anyone know about that one? That hurts, doesn't it? That's painful. Some of you came here tonight because you're in pain, right? You're tired of feeling that, and you want a way out of that. And I believe stories are one of the ways that keep us from doing that. And here's the thing about stories. They are so powerful. Our excuses are so powerful. I could go to seminars. I can go read great books, listen to audios and watch videos. I can do all of that. But if somewhere in the back of me, in my cell, there's a story, it's not going to do any good. In fact, I read a story not so long ago. A guy was bragging about how he has spent over $150,000 on books and audio tapes and videos for self-improvement. Why do you suppose the story came up? That he's telling he's got this $150,000 worth of videos and books and audios. He needed to sell them because the guy was broke and no farther along in his life than he is back then. But he had a trophy case full of all the self-help stuff, full of all the things that was to get him rich and get him the best woman on the planet and the best job and all these things. It got to a point where he finally needed to sell this stuff because it ain't working. And it's not that it doesn't work. What was brought here before today is all great stuff. It's good information if we'll just do something with it and identify the stories that get in our way. Now, as a young man, one of the things that I brought for the story for me was, and if you can imagine, my dad was a mechanic, my mom worked as a waitress, and my dad had this idea that the people who had money got it on the backs of the hard-working man, honest person. So who had money? The crooked ones, the dishonest ones. Those are the folks who had money. So if you're honest and legit, you work hard for your money. You bend wrenches, you have calluses, you work hard, and you can say, I earned every dollar. So I grew up with that kind of mentality. What chances was it for me to be able to make plenty of money on the planet? Pretty low. Pretty low. Because I had this thing built in. He even used to say things like, I'm not sure if the younger generation will know this, but he used to say things like, who do you think I am, Rockefeller? Okay, got it, yeah. Because Rockefellers had money, we don't. So what are you doing asking for new shoes or something, right? Who do you think I am, Rockefeller? So all I knew was that Rockefeller wasn't in the house, right? And the money wasn't in the house, so we just weren't going to have money. And so I grew up with the story in here. Now, as a young man, I also wanted to succeed in life, and I looked at opportunities, and I actually went out there to pursue money-making opportunities, but guess what message was playing on in my head? I'm not Rockefeller. That's right. You're exactly right. So what happened was I was doomed before I even got started because I had this negative message going on. And so that's what happens for all of us. All of us, unless we identify what those stories, what those messages are, unless we learn how to counter those, we're going to come up against that as an obstacle as we move forward. That's always going to happen. What's a great story that goes on today around money? What's a great story that we hear today around making money? Nice. And you hear it in different forms. The current economic climate, right? Economy is bad. Housing market's bad. Have you all heard the one and seen in the newspaper? It's going to get worse before it gets better? Yeah. Yes. The people who are not here tonight love that one. Because it's a built-in story, a built-in excuse for why they're not going to move forward and succeed in their life. If they can stand in line, God bless Starbucks, but if they stand in line at their local coffee house and they're commiserating with one another, they see the headlines say, the economy is going to get worse before it gets better, they're going, great. That will be an excuse for why my business fails, I never leave the so-called rat race, my husband or wife finally can't stand me and leaves me at the end of the year. I can blame it all on the bad economy. And it's been going on for a few years now, hasn't it? This is good. I've got excuses for the rest of my damn life as long as this economy keeps tanking. And there are some people that are doing just that. Not you all, because spending 4 hours on a Sunday afternoon being here, this is a lot more work than what you could have been doing today. A lot more work. And it's those stories that keep us, if you will, stuck in those places. Now, for me as a young man, I also learned to start countering some of that. I went to some of the seminars, and I did listen to some of the videos, and I did start reprogramming myself. And what can happen in life is we can also have certain situations or things come our way that we can create new stories around. Well, after I had my youngest son, he was about 9 years old, and I was married to my first wife. Her name was Paula. What happened was about 10 years in, she got sick. And she got cancer. And about 2 years later, she left the planet. All right. So, did I have another good story? Didn't I have a good story as a reason why I wouldn't get too far in life? Now I'm a single dad having to raise my son. I called it, and I call it today my badge. If someone would kind of question me or question where I am in life, I'd slip my badge out and go, bam, let me show you what I've been through. Right? And do people do that sometimes? Let me tell you my woe is me story. Now, I'm not saying that it's not legitimate to feel sadness and pain and grief over a loss. That's legitimate. It's when we use that then as an excuse for not moving forward, that's when it doesn't work anymore. And that's what I did. I was angry young man now. That's what I was. I was angry. I was anti-government, anti-establishment, anti-hospitals. I was pissed off at everybody. And that got to be my new story. It got to be my limiting belief, my limiting excuse. And some people are using those today. How they lost their homes in this tough economic climate, lost their jobs, right? Their hours got cut back. There's layoffs going around, so they're really terrified in their jobs because they don't know if they're going to be next. And they're using circumstance in life. To me, some of the most courageous people are the ones that have had life just knock the crap out of them. I mean, really knock the wind out of them, and then come back even stronger. I thought I would be one of those people, but I'm telling you, the first time around, I was not. I was not. I used that. I actually grew my hair long, became an anti-establishment guy. I bought a coffee house, wore denim and beads and sandals, and was like the Zen coffee guy. Right? Got it pictured? And it all seemed like this was a passion, a desire, and all that. What it really was a facade. It was really a facade. Now, I heard someone mention earlier about the snooze alarm. You brought that snooze alarm up there. Once upon a time, during the coffee house business, when I first got into it, I was committed, I was dedicated. I was going to create the coffee house that people would come, and we'd create a milieu. It'd be your home away from home. And it was that when I first opened it up. And I took all the smart part of me and actually I'm pretty brainy. I studied nuclear power electronics. Can you tell how smart I am now? Yeah. I'm no longer, actually. I gave all that up. But what I did was I took my abilities and I built this business. And we had a successful coffee house going on. And I would go out and give coffee away and market the heck out of it. I was driven. I was determined. When that alarm went off at 4 a.m., I'd pop up and go. But it wasn't too long into the business that I began to get up at 4:18 in the morning. And why 4:18? Snooze times 2. It was a 9-minute snooze. So the alarm would go off at 4. I hated getting up. I didn't want to have to go to this thing that was no longer my passion. Because remember, this wasn't really me. This was my escape. This was my story. And what began to happen was I dreaded going in. And where in the first couple of years, business skyrocketed, we grew real fast, we had catering accounts, the whole bit, what happened was my attitude was awful. Now, it wasn't outwardly awful. I go, hey, good morning, how you doing? What can we get for you today? Right? Because here I am having to be up at early hour to do this. So what happened was that began to affect business. And when we think about what we're thinking, it was my attitude. Right? And I was still relying on that story. I was still relying on that, this is what's happened to me in life, and this is why things aren't moving forward. And I began to somehow embrace that. Now, I wouldn't speak it, but it was going on in here. And the one thing I know about attitude, we've heard good attitude, bad attitude. I believe there's what's called an attitude of success, and that also can really get in our way if we don't have an attitude that flat out says, I am going to succeed today. It's a necessary attitude. But I didn't have that back then. It was an attitude that I dreaded. I dreaded going in. I dreaded everything. And what I wasn't doing is I wasn't getting my mind right before I went into business. And here's something like the key to success, and then you all may leave. It was a joke. The key to success, I believe, is getting our attitude right. Now, it's not something as simple as wake up with a positive attitude. We've all listened to tapes, and I heard Robbie's listening to tapes and getting the attitude right, which is all great stuff. But if we're not believing it for ourselves, it's not going to be a good sell. What I've actually got to start doing, especially if I'm going to come out and talk to you about your attitude and how you got to get your attitude better, don't you think I need to check mine first before I leave? So one of the things I learned to do from one of my coaches out there was I learned to go to the mirror every morning, not the first time but the last time, when you're looking really good, right? Before you head out to the world, and to look in that mirror and go, you go get them. How many of you think you'd be comfortable doing that tomorrow morning? Look in that mirror. All right, good, good, good. All right, good. Because here's the deal. If I can't lead me, if I can't inspire and motivate me, how can I possibly go out to the world and do that with anybody else? I got to be my number one fan. Now, there's a difference between arrogance and like really loving that guy in the mirror right there, right? And believing that I'm the one. Believing that there's someone out there that needs exactly what I'm delivering out there in the world. And that's true for every one of you. Every one of you is the right one for exactly what you're supposed to be doing out there in the world. Most of you just don't know it yet. And honestly, most of you don't believe it yet. Now, I saw a few hands go up when I said who'd be comfortable doing that tomorrow morning. Most of you would not be comfortable doing it. Because who is the most difficult person to get honest with? Ourselves. Rhetorical question, I know, but ourselves. I can sit there and tell the truth to my wife. I can sit there and tell the truth to my son. But boy, to have to tell myself the truth, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. So we've got to be willing to do that because that is exactly what's going to prepare us for going on out there. Now, you all came here, at least the title, right? You all came here to escape the rat race, whatever that looks like for you, right? In looking up the definition of rat race, it goes something like any competitive and exhausting activity. That's the first part of it. Now, who's excited about the exhaustive part? So, any exhausting and competitive activity. Now, do we like competition? I know I certainly do. What do we need in order to be able to compete fairly out there? What do we need? Some rules. We need to know what the rule of the game is. The rat race doesn't have any rules. It just says go compete. Go compete without knowing what the finish line is. Go compete without knowing what the rules are with others and exhaust yourselves. In an attempt to get ahead. An attempt. It doesn't say it guarantees you get ahead. It just says it's an attempt. You try getting ahead. What happens when we try to do anything? We do nothing. Just trying. It doesn't say we get ahead. We just try getting ahead. That's what the rat race is designed for. Is to get everybody in, competing against each other. Somehow we don't know what the rules are, where we're going to, but we're in it. We're in the game. And we're going to exhaust ourselves at the cost of our time for ourselves, our contemplation time, our relaxation time, ourselves. And that's what the rat race is. So I don't even have to be working for someone else to be caught up in the rat race. I can be working for myself and be in that same one. Anyone ever heard the term, don't work in your business, work on your business, not in your business? And there are people that have become slaves to their business because they don't get time off. They don't get vacations. When I had the coffee house business, I didn't get time off. I was a slave to my business. And I created my own rat race, self-induced, right? A part of all the others. And I used to brag about how I have my own business. I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. In fact, I listened to all those miserable accountants and attorneys at the building where I used to go to every Monday morning. I used to brag about how, they all hate life on Mondays and love it again on Friday. And I was acting like I wasn't the same way, but I was doing the same damn thing. I hated Mondays and couldn't wait for Friday to get there so I could take a weekend off. And by the way, I wasn't relaxing on the weekend. I was just preparing to get back on Monday again. And something Tiana said earlier about enjoying Mondays. You asked the question, how many of you love Mondays? Yeah. How many of you love Monday or whatever the beginning of your work week is? Nice. We got a few in the room, okay? I do too. That's why I love setting my alarm for 4 a.m. on Monday. And my wife will attest. By the way, my lovely wife Linda back there, my son Bailey, I bring them and they come with me and they're my biggest support. Right? Look at them all, right? Because they are my number one fans and they're the reasons why I do what I do with you. They're my purpose, my reason why. So when 4 a.m. Monday comes around, sometimes I'm even a little antsy. Sometimes I'll wake up at 3 and go, it's almost 4. And I will get up because I'm no longer hating what I'm doing. I'm no longer dispassionate about what I'm doing. And it was brought up by both our speakers earlier today that passion's the key. That if I'm not passionate about what it is that I'm doing, it is a tough sell. That's tough to get up. It's tough to get up on Monday morning and go do something we're not passionate about. You all came here today because there was something. I know you said some of you were supporting Manish. You want to make sure he's got people in the audience. There's something you're all missing, something for yourselves that you haven't been able to get to on your own, right? That you haven't. It's been somewhat elusive for you. That's important to you, but somehow it's not the way you want it. That's something for all of us. I know I lived that way many, many years. And shall I go this way? Yeah. Did this for many, many years because we need to find out how the heck it turned for me, right? Because I was angry guy at the world, doing this business, creating this facade, and going out there trying to do my thing. But not being happy, not feeling joy, not feeling passion, and knowing that I'd wanted something more. I knew it. I'd seen Anthony Robbins. I know what I want. I know the things I'm supposed to do, but I wasn't doing them. I wasn't following the steps. I read the Covey books. I read Randy Gage on prosperity. So I knew I wanted something else, but for some reason it was elusive, and I wasn't doing what was necessary to get it. Can anybody relate? Okay, just a few of us that are willing to say I can relate. Sometimes in life, and I love what Monish began today with, waking up. Sometimes we need to get waken up. We need someone to shake us up. Because isn't also the things I've talked about, having to go to a job we don't like, maybe even being in a relationship you're not real crazy about, but what's the one thing about them that we do get out of it? What do we get out of staying there? We get comfort. It's safe, isn't it? It might not be what we want, but it's safe. And we say sometimes that we want unsafety. By the way, the question was asked earlier, who's bungee jumped, right? Was there any bungee jumpers in the room? Nice. Did you do it because you were trying to feel safe? No, in fact, it was Neil, right?
Yeah.
Neil, why did you go bungee jumping?
Well, I went because I was in New Zealand and it was like the home of bungee jumping. So I had to do it. That's why, because
Okay.
I was there for the experience.
Okay, there for the experience. What were you hoping to experience?
Just to say I've done it.
Oh. Got it. Just say I've done it. Come on, how many people in the room have bungee jumped? Right. Neil and just a few others can say, I've done it. Right? Was there something exhilarating about it? Did it feel unsafe?
It felt great.
Yeah, it felt great. It felt alive, didn't it? Yes. And did it also feel a little unsafe?
Yes.
A little reckless? Yeah, for those of you who have done it, yes. So there's a part of us that wants to feel that. And yet, we like our comfort and our safety, don't we? So we look for opportunities like the bungee jumping. I haven't bungee jumped yet, but I have jumped out of an airplane and done the whole parachuting, done that, which is cool. So we look for those exhilarating things in life, and yet there's so many parts of our life that we choose safety and comfort. Because isn't it scary to get out of the comfort, get out of the norm, get out of the going to the job? Because if you didn't have your job, where would you be? What's that? We don't know, do we? That's scary stuff. That really is. So we're attracted to the safety, and sometimes what has to happen, and I don't know if this is for everybody. In fact, I like to believe it's not. For me, I needed to be jolted awake because I was holding on to safety and allowing myself to stay comfortable, and I wasn't willing to go and do what I was meant to do. I knew long before I ever stepped on foot stage, I knew I was supposed to be standing in front of people teaching them something. Didn't feel qualified quite yet, but I knew that's where I was supposed to be. But I wasn't doing anything about it. I was running a coffee house. I was being angry. So another time in my life when an event shook me up was with my oldest son. Remember, I was raising my son by myself. And when my son was 19, my son down in San Diego was shot by a drive-by shooter. And I lost him that day. And let that settle for a moment. Just let it settle. I'm sharing this with you because this is what it took for me to wake my ass up, to start living my life full on and feeling that alive without having to go bungee jumping to get it. Because there's a part of me that was holding on to safety, holding on to what I thought was going to last forever, which was obviously my son at this time, and taking for granted life. And some of you are doing the same thing on some level. Some of you are not living full on. Some of you are playing it safe. Playing it safe in something that does not bring passion and juice to you at all. I don't know what that is, but for something needs to move and shift for you. Now, what I will share with you that day, two things happened for me. One, I decided that I was not going to be angry at God. Because it was going to be hate God the rest of my life or love God, and I figured I'm going to go along. There's going to be a reason for this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go with it. And the second was, and this is after I caught my breath, the second was I was never going to let story and attitude and anything outside of me ever drive where I was going in life. And I mean that so completely. Was never going to let any negativity, any story, any not moving forward, any fear, brought up fear earlier, I was not going to let any of that ever stop me from moving forward and living my life the way I was supposed to. Because rather than using him as another story, I was going to use him as my reason why, my inspiration, and not dishonor him that way by going small. And I could have gone into a bottle, I could have gone into homelessness, I could have gone crazy, I could have done all kinds of things. And had a great story, better than the first one I had. But that was the one that I used to elevate myself. And it didn't happen overnight, but it's the one that I began to move forward with. And it shifted my entire attitude, my entire thought process toward everything I did. And let me ask you, do you think I have felt fear about some things between then and this moment here? Damn right I have. Scared completely, like I'm almost going to die if I do this. But hit send anyway. And invite people to the first workshop. My first workshop, by the way, 12 people showed up. Half of them came in free, right? That was what it was, right? But it was a start, though. So I don't feel any different than anybody else does. I feel fear sometimes. I forget sometimes why I'm doing it, but I've got wonderful reminders about why I'm doing what I'm doing. As I look at your faces, I've been watching you all day long. Every one of you is a reminder for why I do what I do. You came here for something. You came here for something for you to take away that becomes yours. And by the way, I heard a great, great quote that's so apropos today. Steve Jobs, brilliant guy. He says, a good artist borrows from others. A great artist steals from others. So what I want all of you today is become great artists. You hear something that you heard from Tiana, you hear something from Robbie or from me, take it as yours. Take it as your mantra. This is what I'm going to take with me every single day of my life from now on. And when someone says, where'd you hear that from? You go, it's mine. It's what I say every day when I go take on the world. Make it yours. Make it yours. Right? You're stretching? All right, beautiful. Got it. So for all of you, the idea is when I say success is in our minds, we get to decide how we're going to succeed out there. Whether it be in business, our finances, our personal health. Some of you may not have that ideal partner in life. It's time for you to start creating him or her right now because they're out there just waiting for you to show up. Large, not small. It's when I'm showing up small that I don't attract what I'm after in life. And I know you've heard this term, the law of attraction, right? If I think it, it'll create it. It's a law whether you believe in it or not. Now, it doesn't mean that I sit there like this all day long, right? And it suddenly shows up. No, I've got to do the work. I've got to do the work. But if every single day, if I'm relentless, if I'm determined, if I wake up and check my attitude every day, and by the way, do you think I wake up every morning going, I can't wait to get out there and get going? No. There's some days I'm tired. There's some days I've got to meet a client in El Segundo at 8 o'clock in the morning, which means I got to leave my house probably by 5. I'm not enjoying that altogether. But what happens is I get my attitude right. I remind myself along the way, here's why I'm going to do this. Here's why we're making the drive. Here's why I'm showing up. Here's why I'm showing up for that company, which, by the way, this last week I made that drive and picked up a client. You know Zico Coconut Water? Yes. Yep, they're my client. right? And Bash, you'll love hearing this. They're actually about to get picked up by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is going to distribute Zico. So they brought me in going, Rob, we got to play our game bigger than what we've been doing. So we're going to work together for about 2 or 3 months and help them elevate their game, which, by the way, they're already playing a big game. They're a great, great company. I'm not trying to promote them. I was just impressed with them. I was so impressed with them. So there's not every morning I wake up with that, but I got to check myself. And if I know I'm going to be out there seeing anybody, which is every single day, I got to check my attitude. And besides that, it makes it more fun. There's some tough stuff. And even for those of you that love what you do, Linda and Charles, you love what you do? Do you enjoy every part of what you do? No, Charles is the first one to say, there's parts of my business I don't really care for. I got the same thing, which, by the way, Linda and Charles, Musselwhite, they're my marketing team. I sucked at marketing. Anybody out here not really good at marketing? Yeah. I was banging my head up against the wall. I was trying to create a social media profile out there. I was terrible at it. I got some guidance here, some experts that are just awesome at it and love doing it. Now, that's part of my business I wasn't crazy about. And there's other parts of it as well. So I bring on people to be able to do that. The idea is, and you've heard this today, cannot do it by ourselves, whatever the endeavor is. If you've been trying to attract the ideal person in your life and they're not there, get some help. Robbie is an expert at attracting the ideal person in your life, right? If you're trying to attract money in your life and you can't figure out how to do it, contact Randy Gage, randygage.com. He'll tell you how to think prosperous, right? If you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to get yourself in good physical shape but you can't seem to do it, get some help. Hire someone, borrow someone. I love what you did, Robbie. You got someone that says, I'll beat you up if you don't eat what you're supposed to be eating. Whatever you have to do, right? But do something about it. Don't let yourself play it small. And you might even be saying, I don't even know where the hell to start. Does that ever happen sometimes? I don't even know where to start. Start asking questions. You had 3 people show up today. They're not trying to pitch you, not trying to get your business. They're just trying to help you in your lives. They may be resources for you. Monish is a bright guy. He might be your resource. Whoever you saw here today, there may be someone here today that's got exactly what you're looking for to be able to help you get there. Maybe exactly what you're after. I like to define those things, or I like to call those things as little monsters, right? That scare the heck out of us. We don't know what to do with them. We don't know how to get rid of them. We don't know how to get them out of our life. And we need some help. We need to bring someone in to help us kind of face those. Because even though it's feel the fear and do it anyway, some things feel just too damn frightening, too uncomfortable, right? Too whatever it is you want to put in there. And the reality is we need some support. We need some support to be able to do that. So for all of you, what I'm hoping for you is that you took this time, this opportunity today, and made a decision for yourself that you are going to do something different, whatever that is. And I don't know what that is, whatever you're going after out there. Truth is this, you are all, and I mean this completely, so take it in any way you can, you are all completely possible of getting whatever it is that you want to be able to have for yourself in life, whatever that is, if you'll just get out of the way. This part right here. If you'll just get out of the way. If you'll let your stories and your excuses and the self-doubt, I heard that mentioned earlier, and the lack of confidence, there isn't anybody out there successful that hasn't felt all of those things. But what they do is they sought people around them and surround them with people that help to counter that. There are days when I do lack confidence. There's days when I do get scared. There's days when I wonder if I'm the one, right? I have all that wondering going on. And then what I make sure to do is I go back to my mantras. I've got my mantras that are the ones that I use, and they're mine. And I didn't create them all by myself. I heard it said one day, and they became mine, right? They became what inspire me. And then I get with good people in my life, and I surround myself with people that are in the know, that have succeeded. And you've all heard that one. Your success will be determined by the company you keep. You and I talked about that one, right? That's an absolute truth. So in relationships, it's okay to disrelationship yourself with some people out there, right? Now, that does not mean that they are expendable human beings. What it does mean is that your success in whatever endeavor you're going after is far too important to you to let it go by the wayside or go with someone who's operating at a lower level because you don't want to offend or hurt or whatever that is with them. There are times when what we've got to do is we've got to examine our relationships and take a good hard look at them and ask ourselves, is this person elevating me or are they bringing me down? Right? Now, there's some relationships we have out there that are kind of inconsequential. my Starbucks person, right? If they suddenly give me poor service, I can go to another one, or my dry cleaning guy, I can go to another one. I'm okay there. But there are certain relationships in my life that I either, Monish and I, we developed a relationship. We get to decide, does this work for us, or is this kind of hurting one of us, right? We get to decide that. Same thing when I work with Linda and Charles. With our relationships, we have to take a look at which ones are really serving us. And if you've got some of those relationships, and I certainly have had, there are people that didn't have the same type of business ethics that I did. Or they say this is what they're about, but they had hidden agendas, right? That they weren't really for others, they were all about for themselves. I key on that stuff real quick and realize I want to disassociate myself, right, from these folks. So it's important to take a look at those relationships you've got out there, because that's going to impact your thinking. Now, when we are doing the best we can to get our attitude right, and we come up with positive mantras, and we look in the mirror and we go, you're the one, you go get them. I mean, we really believe that, and we go out there. Are we going to encounter some negativity out there? Most definitely. That's just the world out there. The world, unfortunately, operates from a very negative place. And so we need to be able to have those, either those sayings or those people, those relationships around us that are going to help us to be able to get what we're going after out there. All right. Has anyone got any comments or questions about anything we've talked about here today? Anything at all? Go for it, man.
You said when you don't know where to start, you said the answer is to start asking questions. What were some of the questions that you asked yourself to pull yourself out of your situation?
Beautiful. One of the biggest questions to start asking self is, what do I really want? And we heard that mentioned earlier. And don't let that just be a rhetorical question, what do I really want? And don't come up with, I want a BMW and I want a big home with 4 rooms. And that's okay stuff to have. But what do I really want for me? Really want for me. And the other is, what gives me passion? I can't emphasize that enough. And we can't just throw that out there. What really, really gives us passion? What excites us? What could we imagine ourselves doing every single day if we could figure out how to monetize it? Right? What can we do? Now, it's not all about the money, and I'm going to tell you that one right now. If you're going after money, stop it right now. Stop it. Because money is not what is going to feed this right here. It's what the money will do for you. And that's the other question to ask. When I'm asking about what I really want, that money is going to feed that. What I really want is to be able to have opportunities to be in front of more people to support them getting what they want. That will bring money, and that's a good way to spend my money. The other thing that I want is to make sure that my wife and my son are able to have what they want in life and us live a certain lifestyle and even live in a certain place on the planet. That's part of what I want. That drives me. Money is nice, don't get me wrong. Like having it. Always like having a little bit in my pocket. I like that a lot. And if we're going after the money, we might as well just stop. Because when it finally gets tough, and by the way, if anyone ever says to you, Robbie gave you some beautiful steps on how to take something you're passionate about, start writing about it, and to be able to start doing that, it's going to be work, gang. Nothing happens without work. So if you're not excited and passionate about it, and you're only doing it for the money, it'll get so tough one day you'll want to quit. You'll give it up. You'll do like I did in the coffee business and start dreading doing it. So it's got to be something you absolutely love, and to find that out. And the idea is we just got to get quiet and get contemplative sometimes. Isn't the world pretty busy and buzzing around, and we got all kinds of stuff going on in our head? We got to get quiet. We got to get by ourselves. We got to meditate, and that can mean whatever you want it to be. I meditate when I go for a run, and I get inside my head and I problem solve and I get creative and I think about what I want, and I'm able to move through all kinds of things out there. So whatever works for you. The important thing for all of you is to get yourself in a place where you start asking the questions. And please, start catching yourself on the stories and the excuses, because you're all using them, right? I did too. And that doesn't mean I don't still today. I just got to learn to catch myself using them. Like, there I go again. Sometimes I do still even get worried about money, and I go, ooh, do we have enough for that? My wife the other day, she goes out and buys a comforter, because we've been traveling a lot, and we always end up with these wonderful down comforters. And they're always so comfortable, and she goes, I'm going to go out and get one for us. So she gets one for us, and she found it. And of course, she always says, look, honey, look how much money I saved you today, right? That's her favorite thing. Look how much money I saved you today. So what happens, and I said, how much was the comforter? She says, $400. And I immediately went, $400? Like, do you have any idea, and this is my own conversation, do you have any idea how hard I have to work for $400? A comforter? And that was me getting into story. That was all crap. We can afford $400 for a comforter, but by the way, she got it 50% off, right? Now we're down to $200, and by using her charge card at Macy's, they took another 10% off. So she saved all kinds of money that day, right? Right. But what happened was I didn't initially get excited about the comforter because I was going, $400, right? And it took a little bit of joy away, and I kind of came around because I let story get in the way, right? And by the way, it was so comfortable last night. It was wonderful. I loved it. I loved it. But you see how easy it is to say, and what I'm honestly saying is, I don't deserve to have a comforter that gives me that much comfort and joy that I'm not even willing to think that $400 was worth it. Huh? And I turned 50 this year, and I'm hoping by next year I feel 40, and the next year after that I feel 30 because of this new comforter, right? Because I'm getting great night's sleep. But the idea is, that's how easy it is. Those stories come in, and in our mind we start talking ourselves out of. And we start thinking we're not worthy, and we start comparing, we start using the excuses, not enough money, not enough time, not enough resources, whatever that is. They're all stories. They're all stories. And here's the thing. I'll steal from Ben Franklin right here. I'll give him a little bit of credit. Only I'm going to make it my own. He started it, I'll finish it. He basically says this: there is no helping at all the person with a bad attitude in life. Can't feed them enough information, enough you go get 'ems, enough inspiration, nothing like that. There is no stopping a man or a woman who's got their attitude right, who goes out there every single day and says, I am going to succeed. I am going to get out of my situation. I am going to create something better for myself. I am going to create the ideal man, the ideal woman. Not in a laboratory, by the way, but they're going to draw them to them, right? I am going to create the kind of finances that I want and need to live the kind of life that I deserve to live, and go out and spend $400 on a comforter if that's what I want for myself. That person is unstoppable who's got that kind of attitude. And every one of us in here has the capacity, the ability to be able to do exactly that. Take this opportunity today. This one moment, this one time, you resonated with one of the three or maybe all three, and you got to make a tough choice, whatever that is, right? But there was something you heard today that you went, I like what she's bringing. I like what he's bringing. There's something about what they're bringing that struck you, that I want some of that. I don't know what it is. It's kind of weird, but there's something about what they brought. Get together with them. Do something. And this is not pitch. This is do something different today, because that's what you came here for. Do something. Strike a conversation. Ask some questions. Maybe they can guide you into what it is they've got to offer. Maybe it's not with them, but maybe it's another direction. But begin today, because this one moment, this one time, this opportunity is here now. It's right in front of you. So before you go and rush off to go and do anything else today, before you move on to whatever your next thing is, know that when you leave here today, this part's done. All right, which, by the way, if we can go ahead and cue that other back up there again. You saw a little piece on here that said at the end, text 58885. Text the word thrive to it. If you do that, text the word thrive to 58885. A couple things are going to happen for you. One, follow the cues. It's going to ask you for your name. It's going to ask you for your email address. And I am going to send you what I call my 7 tips to success. I'm going to give you that, right? The other thing you're also going to do is you're going to enter into a drawing. I am a big one on books. So what I do is I brought some books tonight. So if you text into this before you leave tonight, we've got a little system that can identify and pick a winner, and you're going to walk away with these books tonight. Now, these books are not ones I just went down one aisle and grabbed out of Barnes & Noble. They're books that have become my mantra. There are books I go back and I reread, and none of them are about success. None of them are about making money. None of them are about finding the ideal partner. They are all about getting clear on the story and who it is that I am, asking those tough questions. And they're what I want to give that set to one of you here today. So if you will, please text the word thrive to 58885. You're entered. Before we wrap today, our system will go ahead and create a winner, and you will walk away with those books. All right? The other is it's a way for us to stay connected, right? Whether you choose to move forward with me or not. And by the way, did we already hand out? This is that time? So, Vinay? I remember the right name, right? Oh, okay, got it. I want to text. And by the way, I love being in a room where the names aren't Bob and Fred and Joe and Tommy. I love the mix of unique cultural names. I really do. I love that. Tells me I'm in the right place, right? I don't mind Bobs, but if it's a room's full of Bobs, that's kind of boring, right? Yeah. So what's being handed out right now? My offer. For one or two, or some of you tonight is a time when you have decided that you are no longer willing to not have what you want in life. And it's time for you to decide and go for it. All right? For some of you, you're not quite to the point where you're ready to make the big leap, but you want to be involved, you want to be engaged. I've got a way for you to be able to do that too. And my sometime earlier this year, I had a team that was working with me, and we put on a conference. And I'm seriously, literally days ago, we got my first DVD set. What do we call it? Let Success Begin. We actually just got that printed, and I had to go through and watch every single second of it. And someone said earlier they didn't like seeing themselves videotaped, and I was really critical going through the whole thing. I mean, really, really critical. But when I got through it, when I actually watched every bit of it, I went, wow, this is great. And I mean, for me to be able to say that, I'd actually buy this thing, and I'd go see this guy talk and do it. So if minimally that's what you need to do, take that with you, okay? But for whatever it is, whether it's Rob or Robbie or Tiana, yes, get with one of us, connect with, ask some questions, find out, see if that's a direction for you. But don't let this opportunity go by tonight. For all of you, what I want to do is give you all a huge round of applause for giving 4 hours of your time, investing 4 hours. I know some of you paid money to get here. You overpaid. I heard that earlier, right? So give yourselves a huge round, everybody. Absolutely. And with that, if you felt inspired, there's something you want to connect with, whether it be me or our other two speakers here tonight, get with them before you leave tonight. We're going to stick along as long as you want to be here.